Hey everyone, it's Screw Loose again from TwinstiqLP, finally with another side-by-side for SnowRunner. Today we're going to look at the Voron AE 4380, and we're going to put that up against the Ankh Mark 38. Alright guys, let's take a look at the Voron first. We're going to use the third and best engine option here. Balanced gearbox only. I just haven't run into a situation during all the testing that I've done where the off-road gearbox was needed. We got race suspension thanks to the new Rift map update, fixing some add-on bugs. The all-wheel drive and diff lock are always on here, and we're going to max out on the 50-inch mud tires, not the chains you'll see here on the screen. And we are upgraded with the extended medium winch, though it's never used. So the Voron A is a off-road truck. It can handle most add-ons with ease. There is no access to the seismic vibrator. But plenty of other trucks can use that, so it's not really a big deal. I mentioned earlier in the Voron D versus the Paystar video that these trucks are more or less the same, all the Vorons, and I really think that holds true. They vary somewhat in stats, but they're so similar. They're very, very similar vehicles. The advantage for this Voron is mostly going to come from the mud tires, as the Ankh cannot use them. It does, however, have a very wide turning radius and some very heavy steering, so it makes it a little difficult to get used to, but it is very powerful and carries enough fuel to get you around most maps without too much worry. And here's the Ankh Mark 38. We're going to use the third and best engine option, of course, here. Balanced gearbox, really for the same reason as the Voron. Race suspension, you definitely want that with this truck. And the diff lock and all-wheel drive are always on. Maxing out on 51-inch off-road tires, no mud tires for this truck. They are a touch larger than the Voron. Like the Voron, we're going to use the extended medium winch, but it doesn't matter because it's never utilized in the footage. The Ankh is also classified as an off-road truck, and it is quite powerful once it's upgraded. You're limited by its modest fuel capacity of about 200 liters, but that's generally enough to get you around due to its fair enough, I should say, fuel economy. It is a C+ rating, but unless you're under serious load, it's not really using that much. The Ankh matches the Voron A in power and durability. It cannot use mud tires, but it does have a more responsive throttle and a much tighter turning radius, making it more agile. I think the biggest problem here is that the Ankh can only use a sideboard bed add-on. Certainly not useless by any means, but it's not as versatile as most other vehicles in this class. Alright guys, the route here has no particular destination in mind. We're just going to start here at the end of the road in Island Lakes and follow a trail in a circle until we end up where we started. Both trucks will carry a load of lumber for this one. I had initially planned for this to take place in Alaska, but after a few days of testing I could only find one route that I was happy with, and no matter how many times I tried it, one truck or the other would get stuck on something long enough to throw the data off. So I went elsewhere and tested for a few days more until finally settling here, and I have to say that even though I like the route well enough, the footage is a little stuttery. Enough in fact that I almost abandoned it as well and started looking for somewhere else. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago in a content update video, I'm having encoding issues. So I'm sorry for the less than stellar footage. Hopefully a new driver suite will come along to fix that soon. Anyway, enough chatter, here's the comparison. You know, it's funny, as many times as I did these tests, I only ever got a truck hung up on the rocks when I started recording. I guess you can't have everything smooth all the time, but in any case, you can see that the Ankh came in first by a few seconds, but it's more or less a tie. The Voron just has a less responsive throttle, and that heavy steering doesn't really help it in the windy trail stuff, but I really feel like it did pretty well here regardless. Both of these trucks are powerhouses, there's no question about that. They can more or less go anywhere, and neither one of them has any problem hauling or towing even the heaviest of loads in the game. I'm not a huge fan of the Ankh because of its add-on limitations, but I do have to say that over the past like 6 or so days of using it in these tests, it's really grown on me. But let me know, guys, which would you prefer? Alright guys, I've been Scrooge from TwinstiqLP. Thank you for watching these. I do think I have plans on more, but it may be a little while before I can make them. Life is getting in the way, work is picking up, and so on, so just less time to run these tests. Yeah, it may be a little bit, but hopefully I'll be back with you sooner than later. Have a great one, guys. Bye-bye.